My mother wrote me letters telling me how much she loved me. I was too young to read them at the time, but she wanted me to know how happy she was the day she adopted me. She wanted me to know that even after she turned to ashes. When I was younger, I felt an extreme void in my life. I could not wrap my tiny brain around how someone could give up their own child. This made me feel like a failure, and I felt worthless, and I felt alone. As I got older, I realized it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I was adopted by an amazing family who loved me for exactly who I was. By the time I was 12, most of my family died from muscular dystrophy. It killed off my mother's entire family, and I felt like I wanted to join them. I didn't understand the concept of death at the time, but I knew that's where my family went, and I knew that's where I wanted to go. Once again, I felt like a failure because I couldn't help them, and I felt alone. By the time I was 12, I was in school, and I was getting bullied because my parents were Caucasian, raising a biracial child. Also because my mother was disabled. Kids can be cruel at that age, and I got into fights, suspended constantly, and nearly kicked out of school. This added to everything else and made me feel like I had no place to put my suicidal thoughts or my rage. Around the same time, I got my first BMX bike. I would be dead if I didn't find something I was so passionate about. I got the opportunity to put my life and my feelings into something positive, somewhere to put my suicidal thoughts and my rage. Riding bikes saved my life. By 15, I was competing in the professional class. By 18, I had a few sponsors, won a few contests, and I got to travel and see all of the things I never thought I'd get the chance to see. I thought my life was headed in the direction I always wanted it to go in, but it was headed in a completely different direction. I put everything on the line every time I rode, and because of this, I ended up with a string of injuries. I ruptured my spleen, tore apart my knee, got a staph infection, ended up with broken bones, concussions, and more. When you're hurt, hours turn into days, days turn into months, and years, and so on. I found out the worst pain was not being able to ride my bike. This added to everything else, and I felt like, once again, I was stuck. As time went on and riding went on, I felt like I didn't have any place to put all of my aggression, all of my rage, and all this pain, and I got hurt, and I needed to escape it. That point where you're on stage and you completely forget what you're saying. After my string of injuries, and I got hurt over and over again, over time, heroin became my best friend. It would never abandon me like my biological family. It would never get sick or die from muscular dystrophy. It never made me feel anything but perfect. I was in love, the love of being lost, the love of giving up, and the love of not having to remember that I was Jason Perz. Over time, heroin took me to places I never thought I'd see as well. Ending up on the cold floor of a jail cell covered in puke and getting your face stomped in as you're detoxing. Waking up every day to feed that unquenchable thirst that nothing can feed but more drugs. Stealing from your family and wishing every day was your last because you can't see a way out of this. This is a whole new kind of hell. I felt stuck and back at the beginning all over again. I was lost. As this was going on, my mother told me that she could not die and leave me behind, knowing that I was an addict. My mother was in and out of the hospital on life support, and I was told more than 5 times by doctors, friends, and family members that I should be prepared to say goodbye. But it's not good practice to leave the game when your team is losing. My mother was always on my team, and she never left. The hard lesson I learned from bike riding is that failure is inevitable. You fail more times in one day than most people do in a lifetime when you ride bikes, but you always get back up. Nothing is impossible. Between all the pain I caused my family and friends, rehab, institutions, and almost death, It was enough to get me to stop using. But any addict will tell you it's easy to get sober, but it's not easy to stay sober. Two significant things happened to keep me clean. My friend Tommy died shortly after I was clean. He got into opiates, and he also got his girlfriend into opiates, and shortly after that, she overdosed and died. He didn't understand how to live with the feeling of killing someone he loved. He didn't actually kill her, but he felt that. When he ended up overdosing and dying, the doctors and I called his family to see him for one last time. They told us they had no son. They gave up on him. Tommy may have been an addict, but we were all someone's brother, mother, son, or daughter, or best friend. We forget that when people do something horrible. No one is born a bad person. Tommy was lost, and I would do anything to find him again. Second thing that happened was my mother passed away. But she knew I was okay. She knew I was clean. My mother, who wrote me letters, who never gave up on me, never turned her back on me, could finally rest knowing that I was okay. I felt lost at this point in my life. With all this, what could I do? I was just an addict with just a little bit of time clean. I didn't think I could do anything or help anyone. But the only thing I did know is that we only keep what we have by giving it away. This created Thriller BMX, a bicycle stunt show team with focus on inspirational speakers, living drug-free, and anti-bullying in our school market. We show people that if you never give up, you can achieve anything you want, just like my mother never gave up on me. Don't give up on yourself, don't give up on others, and use your failures as your unfair advantage on the rest of the world. Thank you.